Hi, it's Rachel, and welcome back to another book talk. Since it is the week of Thanksgiving, I wanted to find two very favorite books of mine that remind me about giving thanks. These books are definitely from different genres, but they are both beautiful in their themes. Both of them have themes that include the idea of the importance of family, and not just family, but also the family that we make and how important it is to keep those ties close. They also have the idea of a journey, and sometimes these journeys can be very physical, like a quest, and that's going to be the first book I'm talking about. But a lot of times journeys can also be very emotional and internal. At the end of these journeys, though, we find out that we can transform and be the better for it. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to my very first book, which is Where the Mountain Meets the Moon by Grace Lin. And you will notice a nice shiny sticker on it. It is a Newbery Honor book. And Grace Lin is an incredible artist, and I don't mean just her writing, but also her art, as you can tell. And this book does have illustrations. I just love this. I'm just going to point out just even the way that there's these tiny little pieces throughout or at the very head of each chapter. I feel it adds just a beautiful, elegant touch to what is an amazing book. This is a fantasy, and it is steeped in an incredible amount of Chinese folklore. And if you're like me, I really do adore a really excellent fantasy that is steeped in a folklore that I am not familiar with. And this does have a companion piece if you really do enjoy it. So definitely check it out. So let me tell you about Where the Mountain Meets the Moon. First, you have Minli, and Minli is unlike other children in her village. They live, her and her family, on Fruitless Mountain. Now, go ahead and just take the symbolism in, because it's meant to be a symbol. Fruitless. That means things do not grow. And her family and the rest of the people are dependent upon things growing. And so they are very poor, and they're also frequently very hungry. And part of the reason for this, why it is fruitless, is that it does not rain. And this is a problem for the family. And one day, she encounters a goldfish salesman. You have to go with me on this one. It's very fascinating. Go with me. And the goldfish salesman tells her, because she's the only one who buys, because there isn't money. And she impulsively buys much to Mom's unhappiness, a goldfish, because he says it is lucky. And he tells her that the old man, who lives on Never Any Mountain, has the threads of destiny. And you can ask him a question and it will change your fortune. This moves in her mind. And although she shares this, her mother, her father, no. Not only that, but you also bought this stupid goldfish we didn't have money for. But what her parents do have is much love for her. They cannot stay angry with her. But Minli cannot get this out of her mind. She feels, maybe if I go, I will be able to change the fortune of not just my family, but of everyone that lives here. So she leaves. And she goes on a quest. And along the way, she meets Dragon. I love Dragon. I love Minli. I love all of the characters in this book. They are so fascinating and unique. And along the way, she meets other people too. But Dragon is her companion. And Dragon wants to know, why can't I fly? Well, I know it looks like he's flying on the cover, but he cannot. And you would think dragons can fly. He's got wings, but he cannot. And he says, I want to go with you so I can ask the old man why I cannot fly. So he goes too. The journey, now this, as I said, a physical journey that they go on, also encounters other people, a lot of them children and other folkloric characters. And they are rich, but they also teach Minli as well as Dragon a lot about themselves and who they are and what is it they're searching for. And it all leads up to her meeting, because she does get to meet the old man, mountain. And what is it she is going to ask? And what will it give? This really is a book about love and friendship and the things that tie us together. For as you can tell on the cover, I hope you can tell that she loves Dragon and Dragon loves her. And what is it you are willing to sacrifice? That's a question that comes up in this book. And what is it that you are thankful for? For you know that she has left behind her parents, Mom, Pa. And how will they feel when they wake up and she's not there? Because you get to hear part of their story too. So these are wonderful things to think about too, I think, especially around this time when we are maybe focusing a little bit more on gratitude in what we have. So Where the Mountain Meets the Moon. This is an acceptable book, in my opinion, for really strong readers in elementary school, upper elementary school, all the way to being an adult. Okay? And I just love it. I can't say enough. And Grace Lynn is just a wonderful and gracious human being. And so I really do recommend her other books as well. And this will just get you started. The next book that I want to talk to you about is one, I read this when it first came out, and it's still one of my most favorite books. Toning the Sweep. My glare from my little lamp is coming off of it. It's by Angela Johnson. And Angela Johnson started off with picture books, and she still does picture books, but this was her first debut foray into YA. And the issues are a little complex, but I do believe that middle school readers can read them. It's just, there's some heavy things in here. But I do believe middle school on up is totally perfect. It is a skinny book. Look, if those of you who are afraid to read, no need to be afraid. And Toning the Sweep, you may wonder what it means. You also notice, look at, shiny sticker. Yeah. This is a Coretta Scott Award winning book. Okay. But you know, I don't pick things just because there's a sticker on it. I like stickers. I pick them because I like the story. As I mentioned, some journeys are not always physical. This is, even though they do make a physical journey to get where they are for the story, this is an emotional journey. Okay. So what we have are 3 generations of strong African American women. And Ola is the grandmother. Okay. Diane is her daughter. And then Diane's daughter is Emily, but she goes by Emmie in the book. And they live in Cleveland. Okay. Emmie and Diane. But Ola lives out in Arizona. And initially, they're from the Deep South, okay, at least Ola and Diane. But something happened. I'm not going to tell you what, because you're going to read the book. Something happened, something huge. And it caused Ola just to pick everything up along with Diane and leave. And she never looked back. She left so much behind, and she went to what she calls the dry country. I love that, instead of the desert, the dry country. Well, why, you may ask, is she going to leave the dry country? She loves it so much. She is terminally ill. She has cancer. So they've come to help pack her up. Now, the important thing to understand is Emmie is 14 years old. She loves Ola so much. She loves her grandmother so much. She's been going out to the desert, the dry country, since she was 2 years old and spending her summers with her grandmother. And they are tight. They're really tight. They're so much alike. But there's a problem. Diane and her mother, Ola, there's just, there's distance. There is something between them. Emmie doesn't get it. Now, guess what? Emmie's 14. She's got some issues with her mom too. So there's like some distance between her and her mom. Now, we're talking about 3 strong women here who are just sort of like getting their spaces, okay? Except for Ola and Emmie. They're here. And you also have Emmie trying to wrestle with this whole idea of what's going on with Ola. Like, this is terminal. This is hard. So she's packing up, and Martha, who's one of Ola's best friends, gives Emmie a video camera. I know you young people are like, video camera, and no cell phones, okay? This book is older, okay? But she decides to use this to record some of Ola's stories. All right. And I just love this idea. She wants to try and grasp onto these memories. But things start to come out. The things I told you that Ola left behind. And Emmie starts to put things together. It is hard and it is deep. And I don't want to give anything away, but I'm going to tell you that some of the things that we go through today in our society that have to do with racism and hatefulness are certainly things that are going on in this book. And they're things that Ola wanted to just put behind her, right? I'm going to move forward. I'm going to have a new start. I don't want to think about that. And I think that for a lot of us, right? Especially when you're trying to find a way of appreciating your family or finding thankfulness and gratitude in your life, you almost got to like block off certain things so that you can find that. And that's what Ola has tried to do. And her daughter Diane doesn't think you can do that. How can you block things off and move on? And so what I appreciate about this book when it comes to finding thanks is, first of all, there's these 3 women who have each other. Family is, again, just like Minli and her family and the family she creates. It's the same thing with these women and the family that they've created too out in the dry country. You find your own thanks sometimes. You find treasure in the things that you still have and in the stories that connect you. And that's one of the things they find. Now, toning the sweep, I will say, in case you're wondering what that means, a sweep is a plow. And this is a Southern tradition. When you tone a sweep, like a tone is a sound. So when you take something that's metal and you strike the plow or the sweep, and the sound is something that you would use. You would do this in order to help someone who has passed to move on. Okay. By no means is this saying something about what's going on with Ola. This is about something in the past. Okay. But just to explain what the title means. And it is a connection for them, though. It is something that is a tradition. And it is something, too, that is also about bringing them together. So Toning the Sweep, this is a contemporary novel. This would work for middle school all the way up. I will be honest, I read this book as an adult and feelings again. And so, I mean, you can't even ask me if these books are okay for adults because I'm going to say yes every time because I love them and I read them. But definitely fine for high school. I think it's moving. I have recommended it to many of my high school students and yeah, it works. Toning the Sweep by Angela Johnson. Where the Mountain Meets the Moon by Grace Lynn. Thank you both for writing books that have to do with finding thanks, with finding family, and finding hope. All things that we need right now. I hope that one of them appeals to you. I hope maybe both of them do. So until I see you again, happy reading, and as always, good health.